What's the abbreviation for enterprise?
ENTER, period.
And then the abbreviation for company?
CO.
CO. Okay, so we've cited everything in the appellant's name. We abbreviated what is found in Appendix 3E. That's what it says in terms of how do you cite to an organization. Now that's the end of the appellant. So because we are now citing a case, it's versus, and versus is lowercase v period. That's in the rule. It's not VS, it's just V, lowercase v period. And now we have to cite the appellee. The appellee is Destiny Makers Entrepreneur Incorporated. So is Destiny in? Most likely not.
No.
Okay, so we type Destiny. What about Makers?
No.
No.
Okay. What about Entrepreneur? It should be. Oh, they don't have that in there, in this volume.
No.
Okay,
It's not.
so then we write that out. And then what about incorporated? We know
It
which
is INC period.
INC period. Okay, so this is how we cite the appellant and the appellee. So appellant is cited first. We were able to find abbreviations for most of the name. We weren't able to find abbreviations for the second one as much. But this right here is the entire case name. And in case name is italicized. Okay. Now, and then after the entire case name, what do we put next?
Comma.
A comma. Okay, then what comes next? We are to cite to two reporters, the relevant regional reporter and the official state reporter. What do we cite to first?
The official state.
The official state reporter according to the rule. Now, because this is a Maryland Court of Special Appeals case, that means that we have to go where?
To Maryland.
Where?
Appendix 1.
Appendix 1. So in Appendix 1B, we have to find Maryland. And under Maryland, we have to find the box for the Maryland Court of Special Appeals. And then this is a 2009 case. So it says volume 965 of the official state reporter. So we cite to the official state reporter because it tells us in the rule that you have to cite to the official state reporter first. And how do we know which one is the official state reporter?
The large star.
Red star.
The large red star in front of it. So the Maryland Appellate Reports is the official reporter. And so what comes first is the volume. So what's the volume number?
965.
965. And then what's the abbreviation for the Maryland Court of Appeals, the Maryland Appellate Reports?
MD period.
MD.APP.
Okay. And then what comes next?
The 912.
The page, which is 912. Okay, so this is the citation to the official state reporter. What do we put after 912?
The year. Parentheticals.
No, because we have
No.
to cite to
Yeah,
this
you're
one.
right.
So what comes next? We have to put a what? A
Comma.
comma. And then now we go to the next. So it's like you're reading, here's the case name. This is the case name, comma. Now this is the first site, comma. So the comma lets me know we're going into something else. So now we have to cite to the relevant regional reporter. Remember, the relevant regional reporters are based on region, Atlantic, Pacific, Southwestern, Northeastern. So we have to cite, it's always going to be volume first, then the reporter abbreviation, and then the page number. So if you look at Rule 12 at the very beginning, it shows you volume number, reporter abbreviation, page number. So then what comes next after the comma?
457.
457, because that is the volume number. And then what's the abbreviation for a 2009 case in the relevant regional reporter for the Court of Special Appeals?
A period 2D.
A period 2D. And we got that because the Atlantic Reporter second series was the relevant regional reporter for any case reported from 1967 to 2010. So we have a second as opposed to a third. The third series doesn't start until 2010. So we have volume number, reporter abbreviation. What comes next?
The page,
Page, which is what?
159.
159. Okay, now what did we put?
Now comes the parentheticals.
Now comes the parenthetical. Okay, so then what do we put in parentheticals?
The year,
2009.
2009. Okay. And then because this is called a citation sentence, we put a period at the end. Why don't we have to put the court abbreviation in there?
because we already used it.
We cited to the
We
official
already
reporter
cited it.
right here, and MDAPP lets the reader know that this is the Maryland Court of Special Appeals. Okay, so just to review, appellant is cited first. If it is an organization, you go to the appendix 3, usually 3E, to see if any of the words can be found in the appendix. If the words are in the appendix, then you abbreviate them. That's how we got munis, management, banking, enterprise, company, versus. And then the appellee, Destiny Makers, Entrepreneur, Inc. And then you end it with a comma. There's always a comma after the full case name. The comma is not italicized. Case name needs to be italicized. The preferred typeface is italics. So then, according to the rule, a citation includes the volume number, reporter abbreviation, and then the page. Because this is known as a parallel citation, which means you are citing the same case has been reported in 2 different sources. But because it's the official and the relevant, we have to cite to the official state reporter first. We know it's the official because it is denoted with the large star as opposed to the asterisk. Okay, so the Maryland Appellate Reports is listed first. That's the MDAPP. In order to figure out what the abbreviation is, we always look in the center column. So Maryland Appellate Reports is reported as MD period APP period. And then it's page 912, comma, because this is telling the reader we're done with that site and now we're going to the citation for the relevant regional reporter. So 457 of the relevant regional reporter at 159. The way that we were able to determine the relevant regional reporter is because we look under the Maryland Court of Special Appeals box and the regional reporter listed is the Atlantic Reporter. You have to look at the dates. This is a 2009 case, so we're looking at the second series. So it's 457, a second on page 159, parentheticals for the year. Any questions on that?
I have a quick question. So, this might just be silly, but so say for instance, like the second and third series, so one of them says 2010 and the other one says 2010 to present.
So for the purpose,
So what if it was like 2010? Then how would you know which one to use, the second or the third series? Because they both have 2010 in.
So if I'm giving it to you as an assignment, either the second or the third series would be right. If you were writing this in the real world, you would have to look in the reporter and figure out if it's reported in the second series or the third series.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Yeah, that's the only way you could tell is by looking at the actual source. Online, it's not necessarily going to tell you. Well, I take that back. If you were in Lexis, it would be cited. They would have the 2 citations. They would have the official reporter, and then they would have the second series. So, I mean, the relevant regional. So you would see it in Lexis as well as in Westlaw. So you wouldn't necessarily have to go to the source. But if you don't have Lexis or Westlaw, then you go to the source to cite to whichever volume it is. But like I said, for the purposes of my class, either one is right. I'm just happy that you understand that you have to look at the date to determine if it's second or third series. Okay. Any questions?
questions in reference to grading on these. What happens if do you take off if the comma is italicized?
Yes, of course I do. No,
Okay,
no, I don't. I can't even tell 9 times out of 10 if the comma is italicized, but
okay.
no, I just
I'm like, 'cause
FYI.
I went through and I italicized at the end, and I'm like, I think I got some of those commas in there, so just wanted to make sure.
So I usually just write a note to let you know that it, don't italicize the comma. But Professor Grimes wears glasses. I can't tell whether or not the comma is, though that's the least of my problems. I'm focusing on, did you use the appropriate abbreviations? Did we cite to the right source? So I'm not hanging my hat on that italicized comma. But if I could, like, if it's large enough for me to tell that it's italicized, then I would just write a note at the top.
Okay.
I'm not that bad. Okay. Any questions on that?
No.
Okay, so let's go and look at this again, right? All right, so I'm gonna share my screen. And so we just did it as a parallel site. Okay, so let's say if I take the official off, right? So now it's just asking me to cite to the relevant regional reporter. So all of this is going to be the same. I'm gonna just copy and paste this. But we take out this, right? Because I've just deleted that. So now it says 457 of the relevant regional reporter. We know it's the regional reporter because the reporter is a region. This is the Atlantic region. But remember, the Atlantic reporter, remember I showed you, has many states that report in it. West Virginia, Maryland is not the only one. So because when we talked about persuasive versus binding, we have to tell the reader which court this case came from. So in parentheticals, we would include MDAPP. So this is the difference. This is how, if we're only citing to a regional reporter, we have to tell the reader the court. We know it's the Maryland Court of Special Appeals because MDAPP is the abbreviation for that. Now, I believe it says MDAPP CT in the back, but as a practitioner, we already know it comes from a court. So it's just MDAPP. I just give you practitioner tips. If you put the CT in there, it